5 words. You're doing it without guns and tanks. You are just making agriculture completely unviable. So you drive them out of there in distress. You don't have to shoot them. You're driving them out of there in distress. They have to leave it because they can no longer afford it. Every sector of agriculture, barring actual ownership of land and a daily act of culture, is today under corporate control. Who controls the seeds? Corporations. Who controls fertilizer? Corporations. Who controls pesticide? Corporations. I have news for you. The largest and the most nastiest company in the world has just been bought and absorbed by the second nastiest company in the world. Monsanto has been bought by Bayer. And please look at the hypocrisy of this game. Monsanto's claim to fame: we have a product that does not need pesticide. Tell that to all those pests in Vidarbha that are eating the crop even now. The guys who claim a product that does not require pesticide have been purchased by the largest pesticide manufacturer in the planet. Yeah. That is, Bayer is the largest pesticide manufacturer in the planet. So now you have a behemoth, somebody who is controlling 30% of the world's seed markets, and somebody who controls the pesticide. Corporations control. Okay. I have been asked in different parts of this country by farmers, why do you call us farmers? We are gulams. What is it in farming that I control? I have been asked that by farmers. Why do you call me a farmer? Who am I? Do I control anything in this farming? I don't. So that's the situation on the international front. I also want you to know one thing so that you disabuse your mind of one of the great myths, which is, even today, the United Nations and the Food and Agriculture Organization's SOFI report, State of Food Insecurity in the World report, tells us as late as 2014, 70% of the world's food comes from family farms. Even today, 70% of the world's food, and most of the corporate farm food, that market is largest in the United States and in a few other capitalist countries. But even today, the whole world, 70% of the world's food comes from livelihood farms, cultivation by small families. That is the largest, that is a fact that everybody should know about farming. From 90s, then comes the largest crisis driven by human policy in this country, the credit crisis, leading to the complete destruction and deepening of debt by amongst the farmers and the agricultural laborers. I have just, as I told you, spent three weeks in Punjab. The Punjab Agricultural University survey of 1,007 farm households and 301 agricultural labor households in the 3 regions of the Punjab shows 86% of Punjab's farmers are deep in debt. 80% of agricultural laborers are deep in debt. Agricultural laborers less because nobody gives them loans. They don't have collateral. Okay? 86% of farmers and 80% of agricultural. Second finding of the Punjab Agricultural University is that neither class has anywhere near the income required to pay off the loans. Neither class is capable. By the way, I also interviewed some of the greatest money lenders of the Punjab, the Ahartiyas, who told me there is no such thing as crisis in agriculture. Okay. The Congress party, which came to power last year in Punjab, came on a promise in its manifesto saying full waiver of agricultural debt. It waived the bank debt. It waived the debt of the public sector banks and the cooperative banks. It did not touch the money owed by the farmer and the laborer to the Ahartya, to the commission agent. And that is 17,000 crores. Amrinder Singh, after coming to power, said, no, I can't do it. I don't know, I don't have the money. And incidentally, soon after, he was felicitated by the Ahartya Association as the pride of the community. So that is, you can do what you like with that. The credit crisis meant that between 91 and 2002, the number of farm households in debt in this country doubled. And again, then they started changing the way they measured the numbers, but it still kept increasing. You are having a gigantic percentage of your peasantry and your laborers neck deep in debt. It's very sad. Punjab was the first state in this country under colonial rule to introduce an Abolition of Indebtedness Act in 1934 because the situation was going to explode. Okay. By the way, in all the crises that we've seen, in all the crisis hit states of India, the only state that introduced an act, similar act in the crisis states for meeting the indebtedness was Kerala, where that act was scripted by Professor Prabhat Patnaik when he was the deputy chief of the state planning board. So you've got the kind of the indebtedness that has come is phenomenal, because from the mid-90s, the banks start moving away from poor and start moving towards middle class lifestyle and the corporate sector. Right? So you have a gigantic shift of resources. And how do we know this? How do we know that the credit has broken down? Professor R. Ramakumar of the Tata Institute of Social Sciences has done extensive work on this, and the data show us that between 2001 and 2007, for instance, loans given to small and marginal peasants, that is loans 50,000 or below, and to small and medium farmers 2 lakhs or below, those loans collapsed to less than half. Which are the loans that grew massively? Which are the loans that almost doubled? Loans from 1 crore to 25 crore. How many small peasants and farmers you know who are taking loans of 25 crore? And, well, I know 2. One is called Mukesh and the other is called Anil. Yeah. Now, let me give you the more recent figure. 2017, NABARD. I don't know if some of my friends from NABARD are here. NABARD's credit-linked potential plan for Maharashtra, which is the biggest victim of the agrarian crisis. Maharashtra's potential linked credit plan, 53% of agricultural credit is earmarked for Mumbai. Mumbai and surrounding areas. Mumbai and suburbs. How many farmers are there in Mumbai? Well, one can say that, see, Mumbai doesn't have contract farmers, it has farmers of contracts. Yeah. And 53% of, even previously, 53% of all agricultural credit of all agricultural credit of the scheduled commercial banks was distributed in 3 cities of Maharashtra. Again, okay, Mumbai, Pune, and it was disbursed, the bulk of agricultural credit was dispersed through urban and metro branches. All those poor struggling farmers of Malabar Hill and Cuff Parade. It was dispersed through metro branches. How much was disbursed through rural branches? 38%. In a state that is still 55% rural. 38% of agricultural credit, not all credit, was disbursed through rural banks. This has happened in state after state after state across the country, some less, some worse than Maharashtra, but it has happened. Okay? So you've seen the complete crushing of the peasantry and the laborer through the shifting of credit. Do you know there are laws in Indian banking? The priority sector lending, they redefined it. You know, the first person to seriously redefine the idea of priority sector was none other than our Pranab Da. Then ably followed by Chidambaram and Mr. Jaitley. We keep, today if Mr. Ambani opens a cold storage in Connaught Place, Delhi, he can get agricultural credit at 4% for it. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. He can do it. Because we have redefined what is priority sector lending, and we have redefined what is agricultural lending. Okay. We have destroyed the distinction between direct finance and indirect finance of agriculture. Okay. We have not, I can give money to the money lenders and make it an agricultural lending. That's also possible today. Okay. So we have, obviously you're going to have a gigantic crisis. Then water, all those policies, every state, barring 3 or 4, started bringing in policies of privatization of water. They don't use that word. They call it Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority Board, and that has 19 members on not a single farmer. So then you have the water, by the way, LPG, the privatization, one of the things that's happened in the last 20 years is the privatization of just about everything, including intellect and soul. If you look at the number of former radicals sitting on the foundations and think tanks and cabinets of the neoliberal world, we have had actually also a privatization of the soul. Right? So you have, look, you've cried. In this country, I never thought it would be possible. They privatized a passion. It used to be called cricket, now it's called IPL. A national passion called cricket. It is owned by Vijay Mallya, Ambani, Shah Rukh Khan. These are the people who own your sport. Now you're doing it to Indian Soccer League. Okay? You've privatized just about everything, and that is a very central part of your crisis. It's a gigantic part of your crisis. So in every one of these respects, in every single term, but these are also accompanied by political processes that are obviously the outcome and predetermined outcome, if you like, of what is happening in agriculture and in the general economy. One is, in the political side, what I call the criminalization of dissent. This has been going, it was always existed, but I would say that from 95, 96 and that period, it becomes gigantic, expanded massively. Anyone can be jailed for anything. Okay? And you're crushing dissent like that. Look at the kind of attacks on your universities. Look at the kind of attacks on the universities, on the institutions that have taken place. I would like to argue before you that we know that there is a consolidation of a corporate state, but who is running that state? I want to argue today that the ruling alliance that's running the Indian consolidating corporate state is a coalition of socio-religious fundamentalists and market economic fundamentalists. These are the people running your country. Some people are both, like Arun Jaitley. He is both a socio-religious fundamentalist and an economic market fundamentalist. The market fundamentalists, they are very, very clever people with degrees from very expensive institutions, and they think that they can ride the tiger. So the same bunch of gang of people who were shaping the UPA's economic policies are there today with the NDA shaping its policies. Your Surjit Balla, Vivek Debroy, all of them, the same usual suspects. This is the coalition, and then the effects you're seeing in education, where the RSS sees the opportunity of rewriting the textbook. The market fundamentalists see the opportunity of privatizing education. Okay? That where they see the opportunity of Indianizing the social services, the Hinduizing the services, the market fundamentalists see the opportunity of privatizing health, all these other factors. Incidentally, this state, the Indian state, they've stopped publishing the data on farm suicides. They've stopped publishing the data on longitudinal data on nutrition. The National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau of Hyderabad, the only institution in the country that provided longitudinal data across a huge period of time that was comparable. And in 2015, it came out with a 2012 report in 2015 saying that rural Indians are eating much less in terms of particular calories and requirements than they were 40 years ago. The government of Narendra Modi knew exactly what to do. It shut down the National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau. There is no more of there is a National Institute of Nutrition. They stopped that. NCRB keeps putting out data on farm suicides, and I'm unfortunately held responsible for the destruction of that body because it became politically so embarrassing that government started responding to it very negatively. The National Crime Records Bureau is a division of the Union Home Ministry. It had its data reflected the flaws of our society. In some states, better reporting, in some states, worse reporting. The data from Punjab, for instance, is nonsense, has always been nonsense. Now, the corruption of the data begins around 2011-12 on a very serious scale. Punjab was always nonsense, the data. But here is what happens. By all the publicity that